And these people knew we were coming. Knew that the war was coming. They saw it with the 101st. They saw it with the Air Force. Knew that it was about to get thick. So these dudes made their last stand, and they prepared that battlefield as such. Because at this point, they weren't going. They were going the aspects of Fallujah. No one said, "Hey, we're clearing Fallujah. We're going to own it." This didn't happen up to this point until we got there. That's what this mission was. That's what our overarching mission was. Inherent resolve was to do, to take Fallujah. And we finally maneuvering to another building, and it's probably like lunchtime. And there's this two-story building. It's kind of under construction, kind of pretty incomplete. And I go there, see the two-story building. We clear the bottom deck. I'll work my way up the stairs, go into the room. We secure it. We set up our hide site. And a hide site back then, being very mobile and agile as we were, our hide site really just meant depth. We needed depth. We had enough depth in the room. We weren't setting up blinds. We weren't doing any of that. These were unconstructed. Some of them were like massive. So we did the best we could with what we had. And so we got 2 M16s, 2 Berettas, and then 2 sniper rifles. That was all the weapons. 2 M16s, pistols, and 2 sniper rifles.
Wow.
The snipers had a sniper rifle and a pistol, and the radio operator and myself, we had the M6. And around this time, it's still early in the day. Some pop shots here and there, you hear some radio traffic, but nothing's really crazy. I mean, we saw some shit get blown up. That's crazy. But it wasn't this constant flow of craziness. It was a calm before the storm. Afternoon prayer happens. Once afternoon prayer happens, I'm by the window. That's where we had a radio set up at. And I see movement across the street on the rooftop. I call it like it was like a muffler. It was like a car place. There was a bunch of like car bodies up top and like mufflers, and they were obviously doing like oil and shit at the bottom. You had the big cutouts. It was like a Pep Boys type of place. What I called it. See, these guys are like armed dudes. Something can happen. Where's my team? Because when we're guys are just like we and that I saw the top down fighters. Yeah, see these things going like I'm dead. Move. Just Whatever. I'm like, body was down. Pick up this fucking hammer, break. We because this is the so like there's people coming. This is and I see this shadow get bigger and bigger. Sure, yeah, and like I'm still so much stuff. One person entering the seven people. At one time, it didn't. So it was getting Basically teaming up, sharing stories. They're telling us so and so got getting all the dope. I saw these at the very beginning of the phase. So I go, units thing. And so we're back in the rear. I get checked out. So I was like, we had 2.5 weeks before we went back in the city. And this plan was to go back in the city and establish a stronghold. So my team was to support 2 teams, sniper teams for Echo Company, and Echo Company was going to be the anvil of the main element, the main effort. Basically meaning we were going to take over these few buildings, and the other companies, other companies in their battalion, were going to start pushing fighters towards us. And so the thought process and the objective was, we'll go firm. We'll use all these adjacent units to basically just like push the whole nest into one, vector them into one area, to one kill zone, and then we'll do what must be done. And leading up to this, I'm like, no, I dig. So we load up again, and this is when I see my first dead guy, like right in front of me. I pull up MV and I'm eating strawberry applesauce, and I'm like, bro, I love to eat, and I'm definitely gonna get my food in before I gotta go do God knows what I gotta do. And so I'm pulling up because the grunts came in, because at this point we've established overwatch across this bridge. The grunts go in, they clear the strongholds, they fight, and they basically secure these objectives, the main element of this whole operation. And what we're doing is we're just eating rockets, we're eating mortars. I'm dealing with, human shields. I'm dealing with calling in airstrikes. I'm doing all these things, fighting from an Amtrak, basically, while all this is taking place. So this is a very quick evolution, but it seems forever. We link up, and I'm shoving strawberry applesauce in my mouth. And then I see Frank the Falusian laying outside, bloated as shit, guts and glory. And he was a fighter as the Marines pushed in to clear these strongholds. And I'm just like, looking at this fucking dude's brain. I'm like, I finish my food. I'll leave it in the fucking truck. I pack, and I go inside.
I remember the first contact we had in that valley. A couple of them were in a bush, and I remember engaging with my saw. And once I started, like, it was like the whole world just lit up in this valley. And next thing you know, like, we're bounding forward. And I swear to God, this is like, I remember telling the story after. It was like I saw this in a movie, because I hear from behind me, I just hear, doo, 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 doo. I'm like, the fuck is that? Like, it was close. And I turn around, and the valley was, it wasn't flat. Like, it was super steep. It was only big enough, say, to put, no shit, maybe like 3 or 4 guys like in patrol, and the other guys kind of had to like walk. I mean, it was like that. And there's a fucking army Apache, literally like this, in a full-on gun run, coming straight at us. When I mean straight at us, straight at me, because I was in the middle of this thing. And I'm looking at it, and it was like slow motion. And I mean, like, picture this right now. You see, like, I could see the pilot, 2 of them. I think it was 2 pilots. And it starts like this. And all I see in the sand is this, right? Is like you said, like you see out of a movie, you see like the gun trail. And it was coming straight at me. And I'm, what the fuck? And so I'm there with my chief. And you see all this in slow motion. I'm telling it. But this all happened really quickly. Everybody dives, right? Because they're trying to kill us. There's no doubt. They were trying to kill us. And we all dive into some rock, right? And the gun run, the actual bullets go screaming past the sand, and then the helo goes screaming past, right? But this is how they worked then. We're shooting with guns, and then behind it, Dash 2, the second helicopter that they rolled with, was following up with rockets.
Oh, man.
So here's in my mind, right? Like, I'm trying to like freaking find my radio and turn it to fires and cease fire. I'm just trying to like get in the middle, like cover up. And I'm going, dude, this is it. Here come the rockets, because guns go first, so they can kind of see what's going on. And the second bird comes in and starts firing. I think it was a 2.5s. Is that?
I can't remember.
Yeah. Hellfires maybe. And, those things kill.
Yeah.
And second helo, I remember being behind this big rock. There was nowhere else to go, and just like looking the same place where I just saw the other one come through. And the helicopter comes screaming through, and I see the pilots. I go, no shit, that's how fucking close they are to the ground. And no guns, no rockets. Somebody, thank God, didn't have their head up their ass and was able to get on fires. I think it was our comms guy, and tell them to cease fire.
Wow.
But still to this day, I am still pissed off, because I don't know who cleared those guys hot with us. We were on the offensive, engaging. Like, we were good.
So were you guys taking fire from Alabama
and our guys?
U.S. Apaches?
Yes.
And everybody just...
Yeah, my chief got hit in the face.
Who did?
My chief got hit in the face. He was, spitting, like, not spitting blood out. Blood was spitting out. He dove the other way. I dove this way. He actually got fragged. And yeah, so like I said, so somebody cleared them hot.
Mm.
And thank God somebody, not the same, called to ceasefire this, because those 2.5s would have fucked us for sure.
It'd be over. It'd be a game.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how good we recovered, you know what I mean? Like, got behind, like I was trying to hunker like in between these rocks, knowing that, all right, when the frag comes, like, I can just get behind some rocks, like, they'll hit the rocks, and maybe I'll get hit, with some frag, but like my head's not going to come off, right? Or, so that's all I was at the time.
Damn.
And so, and then I remember watching my chief pop up behind a rock, and like his whole face was like squirting out blood. And I'm like, wow, this is real. Like, this is not a joke. So, yeah, it was exciting. It was fun shit, right?
Sounds like it.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, I couldn't wait to get back to the fucking, the base there, the Siege of Sodif, I think it was. Find out, like, what fucker just tried to kill me.
We were getting shot at and we were shooting, and that was scary, and we all should have died, but we didn't. It's taken both arms to do this, and I'm trying to get it and set it and lock it so I can grab my M4, and I tried to do that. If they see this guy, he's just gonna be like, oh, there they are, kill him. And I got trucks in, multiple trucks, and I'm like, dude, this is bad.
What were some of your most memorable near-death experiences, and how did you mentally overcome whatever happened and be able to perform through that?
So one of the most memorable I refer to as my walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And that comes out of Psalm 23, but I have commandeered and applied it to this story. We had just been in an ambush. This is right next to the Pak border in Afghanistan. We had gone up a road, which was actually a dried up creek bed that even in our, amazing Humvees, get to 4 miles an hour without high centering or blowing tire or getting stuck. You'd be doing very good to go 4 or 5 miles an hour. So this is extremely difficult terrain to negotiate. And so we got ambushed and whatnot. And so that was scary, and it was a zone contact and fight. And that was a near-death experience. But that wasn't the one I was going to tell. Is it all right to skip that whole?
Skip it.
Okay. So, and that was where we were shot at and we were shooting. And so that was scary, and we all should have died, but we didn't. It was the next day. We're going to go do a sensitive site exploitation. We're going to recon that area where it all went down. I don't know. We're just going to go take a look at it. Now that didn't make too good a tactical sense, except that we just really lit some up the day before who meant to kill us, and we killed them instead. So it went very, very well. I credit the entire great God, because it was a pretty miraculous thing. You shouldn't live through an ambush, and we didn't just live through it. We crushed. And so that was cool. You're going to make me go back.
I'm going to make you go back. This sounds interesting.
Okay.
Walk us through it.
Okay. So I am lead driver at that time, which is a little bit lowly because at that time I was a leader. So I think I'm a sergeant at this point, and I am driving down this terrible road. I'm vehicle number 1 in a convoy of at least 4 or 5 trucks. As I'm going down, I have all of a sudden incoming, boom, huge explosion, front right. And my tire is just exploded. It's gone. I don't know whether it was an RPG or IED. I don't know to this day, but that's what happened. And then automatic gunfire from both sides, elevated position starts raining down on us. And so that's really, really bad. Near ambush means inside hand range. Now, nobody had a tape measure, but just based on proximity and later intel of it was right on that line. They were close, and I walked up that terrain the day before on the right side. So what I was supposed to do as a team leader and a sergeant at that time, you want somebody reliable who's going to do the right thing as driver. The driver in one of these Humvee trucks, if you is target number 1 guy. If you've got a vehicle convoy going through someone and you kill the driver and you shut him down, then the whole stops. Then you kill the rear driver, and then it's just kill all the fish in the barrel. So there's the bookends. Kill that driver, kill everyone in between. And so I am selected to be the driver because I was a driver and I was aggressive and I knew how to use the vehicle as a weapon to take care of the guys, and I'm not going to lock up. I'm not going to freeze up. And so when this happened, it was really difficult for me because I wanted to fight, but I did the right thing and I punched it. And that means get off the X. If you're ever in an ambush, military tactics 101, the ambush, get out off the X. Don't fight through the X, get off the X. So I punched it and got off the X. And so that's tough because I got this steering wheel and it's wanting to favor right because I don't have a front tire. So it's taking both arms to do this. And I'm trying to get it and set it and lock it so I can grab my M4. And I tried to do that and there was no chance of doing that. And then there's this 50 cal deuce up in the turret that has somehow jumped out can and it is hitting me in the face as we're driving through this. And it's just a nightmare and all gunfire's going out all over the way. Anyway, we got down, punched around the corner, dismounted, down low behind whatever cover we could find, which was just little rocks. This is a defilade. At that time, we saw some of the bad guys who had ambushed us on the left side had kind of gone around the military crest of this. They lit us up from distance now, and then we put them on. So that was that encounter. Now it was all fast and it was pretty reactive and it was scary. But for me, it was kind of cold, hard math. It wasn't as memorable to me as this next part, which isn't guns flying anything. This one was actual like danger. The next one was scary because it was a bit of a mind screwer and it was perceived danger. So the second one was worse. Though anybody listening in or viewing this would be like, dude, the ambush is worse. I'm like, all I can tell you is, what the pucker factor was in either one of these. And the second one, though less dangerous, was certainly a bigger pucker factor because this is what happened. The next step, we wanted to go back into that AO, see exactly what had happened there. Now, that was the excuse. The real rationale was probably, hey, let's go try to get shot at again, and maybe we can kill some more bad guys. So anyone discerning of like, hey, why would you go back through the same? There's nothing mission critical. Why? And it's because, well, we came up with an excuse to dangle some bait out, draw some fire, and then hit them with a counter ambush that they weren't expecting. So we positioned some machine guns up on the high ground that could overlook this entire valley that we'd got ambushed in the day before. We had mortars ready and done, and we had aircraft on station. So we have our counter ambush ready. All we need is now. I, as a Christian, had gained. I had the respect of the dudes. I wasn't all like preachy or whatever, but everyone knew. All right, John's a Christian, and I think there was an unspoken sense that the Lord's going to take care of me. And I'd been in some brush. And so anyway, I was selected as the bait. And I'm kind of like, okay, let's do the bait thing. And I feel like I'm invincible. The Lord calls me home. And so I was actually okay with this plan, but a little bit nuts because I'm like, dude, we almost all died right there. Now, without any trucks and without any of my buddies, I take 2 dudes with me and we're just going to walk up that way. Just the 3 of us. We're just going to walk up there. Broad daylight.
Okay.
So I was the bait. And so I was okay with it. So we just kind of start walking.
How are you okay with it? This is what I want to hit.
Well,
how are you altering mindset and overcoming the fear?
I think I was a little excited. Like, I wouldn't mind another fight. Good. I was scared. I'm not minimizing that. But, and so, and as I'm walking up this valley, I'm like, this is stupid. This is crazy. But I could do it, and I was okay plan. I don't know. It was scary, but I'm good with it, and so I don't know I had enough stress inoculate and I was okay. And so I'm like, I'm going to just stroll up this. So we did, me and 2 buddies. And so we had our little modified wedge, and we're just kind of pushing up the valley, making sure we got our intervals spaced out, head on a swivel. And we're just taking a stroll up the valley of the shadow of death. We get way up there. And so, maybe I'm 500 meters away from my gunners on top of the ridgeline. So I'm kind of like, man, can they even help me about this? And it's about this time where my radio talks and somebody says, hey, man, you got movement from Pack Mill coming to you. Oh, no, sorry, let me back up. As I'm walking up, there's a dude, an older man. He looks like years old, so he's probably like 45. I'm at that culture that does not treat the body well. These people fall apart from malnutrition and culture. So he starts strolling down. And so we're walking toward each other. I'm watching hands, and I'm pretty high alert. But and my big thing is of like, as the wind is hitting his, mandress, his Haji mandress, I'm like, is there some type of bomb under there? Is this a suicide bomber? Because that makes sense. But why is this guy walking down this valley toward me in the middle of the day when everyone in this region knows what just went here? There's no way everyone doesn't know what happened here yesterday. So this guy is dirty one way, whether he's direct or whether he is walking down to scout, gather intelligence, and then report back. No question, this guy's dirty. And so I grab him up. We hold him on. We do a search. We maintain security. And at this point, I am letting him lean into my radio so our interpreter speak back and forth to him. It's at that time where somebody comes in and like, hey, you got movement on the Pac Mill border. It looks like some trucks are rolling down in your location. And I'm like, oh no. Whereas kind of okay with doing the walk, which is already harebrained, I am way too far away to beat feet down. I'm way too far away. In this terrain, it's going to take quite a while for me to get down. And I got mountains on either side of me. I am stuck in this valley. And here I've got this informant. So even me hiding in the bushes, if they see this guy, he's just going to be like, hey, or kill him. And I got trucks rolling in, multiple trucks. And I'm like, dude, this is bad. So I ended up grabbing the guy, and me and two dudes, my two Joes who were with me, we pushed onto, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 meters up as much as I could get up. I didn't want to go crazy with it, kick up a bunch of dust. And so I needed to be kind of set quick so the dust wasn't giving away my location by the time the truck got to us. So I wanted to get up, get behind some type of vegetation, because there was vegetation, but not a ton of it. And I got down behind that. And then I sat down behind the guy. I put him in between my legs right here. And I took out a knife. And I showed him the blade, and then I just put it under his neck. So, and I even leaned out, gestured of like, holy
like I just got blown up. I'm like looking to my left, and I mean, there's just where this crowd of hundreds of people was is just flattened, like nothing, crawling away from my leg, and it was someone else's body part. Look across the canal, and I see this dude hold up the sign and like point to get in the canal and like come across, because at this point it's the only way they can get across is through the water. So for us, it was a good thing, because it was like, okay, they have to cross this canal now to get to us, as long as like that crowd that's on the left side is kept at bay. And he came through. He came beneath me and checked. He had an American passport. And he had his brother with him and had an American passport. And I guess he had been an interpreter with group or something for quite a while. And so he was legit. Pulled him out, just did a search on him, search on his brother. I'm like, all right, hey, I'm gonna take you guys over to the main search area, which is right at the base of the tower almost. We can get you guys access through to the State Department. And this dude, he spoke pretty decent English, and he was like, wait, my family. And I was like, yeah, like, what's up, man? Your brother's right here. Like, you got your family? And he's like, no, my 4 kids. He's like, there's 7 of us. And I was like, what? Hoover's standing next to me. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, no, there's 2 of you. He's like, no, my wife, 4 kids, they're still back in the canal. They're still back in the crowd. I was like, dude, you were given very specific instructions, like, come with your whole family at one time, because in our eyes, like, we know the gate's already supposed to be shut. It was supposed to be shut that morning or something, and we're still processing people. We were told that it was going to be shut by the 26th, or like the morning of the 26th, and it still hadn't been. And now it's like 5:30 p.m. or almost 5:30 p.m. And I pull. I like, all right, well, do you have fucking paperwork for them? And he fucking has for all of them. They're good. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, okay. I was like, listen, man, do you have a phone? Like, can you call your wife? Does she have a phone? He's like, yes. Like, I can get a hold of her. And, okay, like, call her and see where she's at. And so he calls her, and he's like saying she's at like the canal or the corner, which is like where he was describing her at was like 1,000 people away, like so far away. And I'm like, fuck. So I tell her she needs to get her and the kids and get into the sewage water and start working their way up. Because if not, there's not a great chance of you guys fucking getting through together. And so he relays at her and he's just like, thank you, thank you. And I sit them down on the link fence. I'm like, listen, I'll stay down here for like 20 or 30 minutes and help you guys and wait to see if your family can make it up here. If not, I'll make sure another Marine helps you guys out and knows your situation. And he's just like, thank you so much. And so I'm like waiting on the side of the canal wall, like standing against it, facing across the canal. And I'm like, fuck, I don't know what these people look like. They look like everyone else out there. And so I'm like, hey man, like come here. And I don't remember if it was him or his brother. And I'm like, hey, come here and help me spot them. See them? Like we can pick them. You can help me pick them out easier. And he's like, yeah, of course. And I like stand him up on the canal wall. And like 10 minutes goes by and just flash and just get hit with this massive wave of pressure, just like straight on. And then I'm like, my eyes are closed, my vision's black, and I'm like slowly coming to. My right ear is just like high pitched ringing. My left ear is muffled, and I can just hear people screaming in the distance. And I knew right away as I like was coming to, I was like, holy fuck! Like I just got fucking blown up. And my brain knew instantly. And my immediate thought was just like disbelief. I was like, there's no fucking way this just happened. And I can't see yet. And I'm just like struggling to open my eyes. And later to come to find out, I mean, on top of a fucking, 20, 30 pound bomb detonating like 5 meters away from me, someone's CS gas canisters had exploded on all of us. And so on top of the bomb, there's all the CS gas cloud that we're engulfed in. And so none of us can fucking see or we're struggling to see. And so I was just like, holy fuck, like I actually just got blown up. And I finally can open my eyes and I'm just like laying on the ground in the dirt, looking to my left, really close to the fence. Like I had almost gotten thrown to the fence. And I'm like looking to my left, and I mean, where this crowd of hundreds of people was is just flattened, like nothing at all. And I can still hear people just fucking singing in the distance and yelling. And I look to my left, and I mean, one of the first things I see is just fucking Marines laid out, just fucking Desert Marpat fucking next to me. And I was just like, oh fuck, like this really just fucking happened. And before I fully, like, my brain fully registered everything when I woke up in the hospital. Like, my mom said I talked for like 9 hours straight, but I thought I was crawling away from my leg, and it was someone else's fucking body part just like laying in front of me. I mean, there was fucking body parts, bodies everywhere. And the people on the other side of the canal just immediately in front of me just got fucking evaporated, or eviscerated, just gone, just in an instant, gone. And then outside of that, just body parts, fucking guts and pieces of people and human beings. And I was laying on the ground, and I mean, I felt like I was on the ground for like a fucking hour. I felt like forever. And immediately after the bomb, I was trying to stand up, and I couldn't stand up. I could like move my head forward and like move my arm a little bit, and I kept trying to stand up, and like, fuck, like, why can't I stand up? And I was like, I'm fucking hurt. And then it just like crack, fucking right across from us. So I'm now facing like kind of like the tower, like the way I'm looking, like the tower's kind of to the left, the canal's like right here, and then the neighborhood's right here. And we start taking fucking shots from the neighborhood, and like almost immediately after the blast. And my first thought, I mean, I always say like, we all want to be doing our own story, but my first thought in my brain was like, fuck, I'm hurt. And I look down, and I'm hearing us getting shot at, and hearing fucking cracks and impacts behind us and over us. And I'm like, fuck, I can't fire my weapon. I'm fucked up. Like I mean, I had come to find out I had gotten hit with 100 to 150 ball bearings. And
150 ball bearings.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm everywhere but my neck and my head and my knees down because of that wall. And so I was like, well, fuck, I get shot, I can't fire back. And I just knew the whole fence was behind me. And I tried my fucking hardest to fall backwards towards that hole in the fence. and I kept trying to get up, couldn't get up. I don't know how fucking far I got, maybe a couple feet, and I was moving backwards, and all I could do was like put my left arm on the ground, and I kept trying to lean over onto my right, and I'm just like, fuck, why is my right arm not working? And I remember lifting it up, I just seeing it there, but it's just like fucking shredded up at the elbow and bloody, and I'm just fucking red everywhere. And it's just all that my thought in my brain, I was like, my arm's fucked up. I was like, okay, that's why I work, and like just kept fucking going. I wasn't fully processing like, hey, let me fucking put a tourniquet on my arm. I was just like, fuck, I'm and I need to get to the hole in the fence because that's where my friends are.
Sometimes people will ask me like, were you ever scared? And the answer is yeah, I was. And one of the times it was the scariest for me was actually on a sniper overwatch on my first deployment where I started getting mortared. And so to like kind of unpack that, typically we would, we'd go in at night and we would take a house that we thought would give us good sight lines for whatever we wanted to watch. And one day we were watching, I think we were watching MSR Michigan for people planning VBIDs, or not VBIDs, I'm sorry, IEDs. And we also knew that some partner forces were going to be patrolling through that area. So we wanted to make sure that if they came under contact that we could support them. And so I remember we came in, in the middle of the night, there was a family in the house. And when there is, and there often was, you can do a couple things. You can either make them stay in the house, or you can let them go. And either way, especially at that point in the war, that was in 2006, locals kind of knew what was going on, whether you let them out or kept them, because they would kind of check in on people because they knew that stuff happened. Like if the Ryan family didn't come out, send their kids to school by 0800, they knew there was a good chance the Americans were in their house, right? Or if you let them go, they're probably going to tell people, hey, there's Americans in our house. And so I remember in there, and then, taking this house out, had good sight lines, and then getting all set up and ready to go for the next day. And as a new guy, my job wasn't to be on a sniper rifle. My job was to hold security. And so I remember my job was to watch the west side of the house. And so I found a good spot by a window a little bit back into the room where I could watch, pretty much everything that was going down on the left side of the house. I took off a lot of my gear, but just had like my frags laid out by the window. And I had a Mark 48 machine gun. And, as the sun came up, and most of our snipers, we probably had 4 or 5 snipers on the op. Most of them were facing north watching this MSR Michigan, road that was out in front of the house. And I remember, I don't know, maybe an hour or so after daylight, one of the snipers took a shot, killed a bad guy. And then probably 3 or 4 more times our snipers started engaging people. And I remember one of them shot this guy in this car on my side of the house where I could see it. Like it shot him through a car windshield, like the front windshield. I remember looking out the side of my window, and sure enough, right in the driver's side, front of this windshield had a big old spider vein bullet hole in it. And this guy was dead. One of our snipers shot him through the head. And it got pretty eerie really quick because the sniper shot him right in front of a school.
Oh.
And so I was watching this, everybody's amped up, shots are being fired. starting to kill bad guys. And I remember probably 10 minutes later, a bunch of women and children. First, a couple women or a couple kids, I think, came out, saw it, and then the screaming started, right? These women and children are just screaming and crying. And then I remember them pulling his dead body out of the car and pulling him into the school. And my spidey senses were started going through the roof. It just made so my spidey senses knew there's no better way to start a fight than to rile up women and children, because as they get riled up, emotions start getting riled up, and then want revenge. And I just knew it. I knew we were going to get hit. And so sure enough, like 45 minutes later, the small arms start, first it's indirect. You can just hear it cracking over the heads. And then it starts getting more direct, and you can start to hear it, hitting the building a little bit. And, everybody's on full alert, just ready to rock and roll. And I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes later, the first mortar, you hear it pop up in the air. And there's a guy named Mike, one of our snipers, who was on the same level as me. We weren't on the roof. We were on the level below the roof. And he had propped his Mark 11 up on a desk, and that's what he was using as his platform. And
Mark 11's a sniper rifle for those that
Mark
don't
11
know.
is it's like a sniperized AR-10 or a 7.62 magazine fed sniper rifle with a suppressor on it. And I remember Mike. Mike was a badass. Like, Mike was, tough as nails. But definitely the type of guy you don't want to mess with. And I remember as soon as that first, mortar round popped up in the air, I heard Mike's voice change, and he yells at me. He's like, "Take cover," and I was like, if Mike's telling me that, and I get in his voice, this is serious. And so first mortar round comes up, hear it explode, not a direct hit, and then they just start popping these mortar rounds up in the air. And I'll tell you, Shawn, I don't think I've ever been scared in my life, because it is like the movies, man. You can hear those things whistling through the air. And the difference, like when you get shot at, it happens so fast, you don't really have time to be scared, right? But when mortar rounds incoming, and you can hear those things whistling for 5-6 seconds in the air, time you're thinking, is this it? I wonder if this, if this is a direct hit, if this hits this house, we're done. And thankfully, these guys really didn't want it. I could tell they didn't want an extended fight. They kind of wanted to just see if they could hit us with the mortar rounds and then get the hell out of here, so we didn't pinpoint their location and kill them. But I think they only launched like 4 or 5 mortar rounds. One of them, I do remember one of them though, hit on the west side of the house, probably like 60 from my window, and frag, flew up and through the window. And that, that was, pretty close. But I'm just glad that, they were off on their shots. But then our AOIC at the time called in Artie, and from I think from Habanilla, and that was pretty cool to hear the big guns start going off in the distance, and then the tree line that we thought we were taking the mortars from, started getting rocked, and the fight was over at that point. But always, that's a scary feeling, man. Not only hearing mortar rounds, whistle through the air and not knowing where they're going to hit, and your small arms fire, but like when you're in a sniper overwatch or a situation like that, you're usually in one of the worst neighborhoods on planet Earth, and there's like 10 to 15 of you, and you're in somebody else's city, and you're constantly thinking, how many bad guys can they muster to send at us?
Yeah.
And if when you're probably not going to get extracted till nightfall, because nobody wants to risk the vehicles in the daylight, which we didn't always own. We usually own the night. That we could be in for it, for a while.
Yeah. It's like a feeling. I've been in a couple of similar situations, and it's like the feeling of helpless. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
You can't figure out where it's coming from. If you can, like it's the tree line, you can't.
Yeah.
There's no target to shoot. You're just gonna eat it and hope it stops soon. You know, hope you don't eat it and hope it stops soon. And it's completely out of your control.
Yeah.
But yeah, damn. How did you guys get out of there?
Like I said, I think on that op we were gonna stay for a couple days, but I think they decided to pull us. I think they pulled us that night, and as soon as it got nightfall, we went to a rally point, and you know, our guys came in and picked us up.
Yeah. Other team guys or yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you say 10 to 50 guys, they're spread out in different OPs, right? Not
On
all
that
in
one, all in the same. We were all in that one. We were all in the same house. But yeah, that happens sometimes where you spread them out. But I want to say there were probably 10, 12 guys on that op.
Okay.
And then we had our partner force was downstairs holding security. But yeah, it was it was interesting. Definitely, and that was probably. It wasn't the closest call I've ever had, but it was the most scared I've ever been in combat, just because the anticipation factor that orders and you just being able to hear it for 5-6 seconds before it hits somewhere and you're wondering what's going to hit. That.
Yeah. What was the closest call?
The closest call would have been on my next platoon, my third and final platoon, and we got ambushed by three guys at about 110 yards, and I was like laying in the street, nowhere to go, just watching tracer rounds just fly over us.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, man. I was man that night, and so I was leading us. We had like 600-yard patrol into the target house that we were going to hit, and we were going after a dude that was making V-bids and IEDs, and just a really bad dude. And unfortunately, it was the first night that we'd given our partner force the 8-digit grid coordinates of the target that we were going to hit, and sure enough, we got lit up. That's been going on in warfare for a long time. Just partner forces playing both sides of the.
Yeah.
And it was kind of surreal, just because there were, I think, two guys had AKs, and then one guy had it looked like an RPK, a belt-fed heavy machine gun, and he had belted together probably two belts, probably 200 rounds of tracer, so you could just see every round over your head. And thank God they were shooting, maybe or so high, and so none of us got hit. But when I went back that night and looked at it, because we had a Predator, we had 2 Apaches, and then a C-130, and I watched the Predator feed, and we actually used some of the tools to like how far we were from them, and it was 110 yards, which is that's not far for the weapons at all. So that was definitely my closest call.
I mean, I've been lost at sea. So I spent a day and a half out in the ocean. I'm going to be eaten by a shark, What am I going to do? Am I going to drown? I'm going to think, what am I going to do? All that stuff that runs. And then I've been held under, I've been held under multiple times. What I saw in my head, I saw a skeleton, and then it had a life preserver, kind of raggedy life preserver, I was just going to be there. I was stuck there.
You talk about some near-death experiences that you've had surfing.
Yes, sir.
Can we go into some of those?
Yes, sir. I mean, I've been lost at sea. I spent a day and a half out in the ocean, way in Hawaii, about 60 miles offshore, which was a different kind of near death. I would think that was just a longer time to think about it, but without any imminent threat right away, right? So no M threat right away, but the whole possibility of like, hey, I'm 60 miles from shore, I won't be able to get back. I hope my EPIRB works, and I don't know if it does, and I hope something shows up to pick me if it doesn't. So and I only had a good half a day about it, but it was good enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good enough. I mean, half a day, a half an hour. If you really think it's the end, like, oh, am I going to be eaten by a shark? Am I going to thing? What am I going to do? I'm going to thing. Like, what am I going to do? All that stuff that runs. And then I've been held under, I've been held under multiple times. The truth is that I tried to think about it. I watched Alex climb, the climbing free solo, where he free climbs the in Yosemite. And he does the free climbing with no ropes. And then they did a study on his brain, and they said his brain just does something different. He's scared. And I was trying to understand what that meant, like why was his, and because I was trying to relate it to my own perspective. And thought is because he was exposed to dying and falling so often. Like, imagine every time he went climbing, as soon as you were 100 feet in the air and there was rocks below you, if you fell, pretty much that's what's going to happen. So he would go into that fear of dying, like I am. And when you put your body under, and you can, I'd be interested to hear what you think about this, but because he was in that situation so often, so many times, and didn't die, and the taxation on the system is so severe, right? You're so taxed from that. The body has to recalibrate, because the body, like, well, you didn't die the last 1,000 times you were in that situation, which you thought you were going to, and we had to be in fight or flight with all the sensories on at full blast. And we're going to have to turn that down. Right. I think the body would adapt. Like, of course it would adapt. Why would it wouldn't just continue to every time you were in that position to be in that same state and that taxation, because it's hard on the system to do that. Like, when you're up like that, it's like, you know how that is. You come up, you come down. And so I think it started, and because I was saying, for me, I close to drowning so often as a child, like getting sucked out the pipeline in the shore break, being in a rip current and swimming against a rip current with no one around, no lifeguards, no people, and just, being underwater and coming up and thinking this is it, you're going to die. And you've done that how many times you did. Pretty soon your brain just goes, okay, well, you didn't die the last 500 times that you were in the rip current, and you're going to die. So we're going to adjust, especially when you're in your development stage of your life. Right? Especially when you're growing. It's like, if you're an athlete and you grow up doing the sport that you're doing, your body will actually kind of grow. It's different than I grew up full age and then I start doing things. So I think that there's an adaptation. I know as a young kid that I was close to drowning once a week. Like, it was like once a week I thought I was going to drown. Like, you're being held under the water. You can't get to the top. And I think fear of drowning is such a one. It's like eaten by giant animals, burned, fling, drowning. Like, I think there's I call them the primal fears, right? There's like probably 5 or 10 primal fears, but I know drowning's up there. That's why they do all that traumatic stuff with the SEAL guys to break you. Like, they throw you in the deep end with a bunch of weights on you until you drown, because it's part of it's part of that process of that, because that fear is so, and there's no air. Which probably induces the fear even more. But I think that's part of it. I think I went through that so much, so many times growing up that I'd started to make my but I've been blown like, in a way, I've been blown like a landmine, like not a line, but like blown, like I got hit by I was surfing Jaws and they were filming the new Point Break, and I had a wave break behind me and blow me like into the sky, like, and then run me over after and fold me in half, and then just hold me on underwater, with power that, I think that if it was any other energy with that kind of power, I probably would have just ripped me in half. It was just water. There was a forgiveness to it. But I think just those hold downs, the consistent hold downs. I mean, okay, injury, hitting the head with this and hitting that thing and all the wounds, but I've been in an avalanche. I fell through I got pinned at the bottom of a waterfall. So I was in Oregon, this White Salmon River, and there was a river rafting trip. And we were on this big raft, and they stopped before this giant waterfall. There was a big waterfall that probably had like 8 foot of volume. So like 8 foot thick of volume going off this waterfall. And so I was like, they pulled the raft in, they made us walk around. I said to the guy, well, can't we go off that thing? He goes, well, we don't go off that thing. And I go, well, what if I want to go off that thing? He goes, well, I can't stop you. And so I go, okay. So I swam out into the river, and I swam right into the heart of it. And as I was going off head first, because I thought I was going to go like that, right? And I heard the guy yell feet first from the shore. So I kind of rolled over and turned around and went feet first. And I went over the waterfall, and I landed underwater on a big stone with the waterfall holding me down. So the waterfall, so I was on a stone with the waterfall just holding me like that. And I was sitting there, and I'm like, and I was like, can't move. And I tried to, I couldn't press. And I'm sitting there, and I just got a vision of a skeleton with a life preserver on it. That's what I saw in my head. I saw a skeleton, and then it had a life preserver, kind of raggedy life preserver, like I was just going to be there. Like I was stuck there. And I ended up, after not being able to move at all, I ended up moving my leg. And when I moved my leg, it spun me out from the stone and spit me out of the back of the thing. And my friend was already swimming from the side below in the pool to come out because I hadn't come up. And I think for like, I don't know, a week or something on my shoulder blades and my whole back from where the water had just been, holding me down like that, just on my back, just like had me pinned. I was like, so, I mean, I'm just saying, when I was in Russia one time, helicopter snowboarding, and I was following some crazy French guys, and the French guys are like, we had a big meeting, and they said, when you're walking, we're on these big cornices, and there's these big giant things hanging off the cliff, and they're hanging way out, and it's probably like, whatever, a couple 100 feet or off the edge. And the guy's like, okay, when we're walking on these things, if you see stones, and you're walking on a cornice, if the stones are on your right, make sure you're on the left side. If you're on that, if the thing's hanging out. And I remember walking along, and I'm following this right, and I looked over, and I saw a stone, and I just fell through the thing. I didn't fall off the thing, but I fell into the cornice. So I fell down in this hole, like on a rock ledge inside the thing. And I'm sitting there, and the guys come running back, and they put a rope, they pull me out and everything. And then I just wanted to kill that guy after. And I'm like, I'm listening to you again. If you ever, so after that, from then on, I was like, yeah, I don't care what he says. I'm looking like, and I didn't know anything about the mountains, but I wasn't going to rely on but I think, I think I've just had a bunch of those. But the water stuff happens so often, so much growing up in the, being sucked out and being pinned on the bottom, and, a lot of drowning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly drowning.
To your point about kind of the fear stuff, overcoming fear, and we were talking about the guy climbing. I mean, I don't know that I've not heard of him, but when it comes to fear stuff, I mean, the second you do it, your brain's telling you, hey, we've been here before, and then third time, and then again and again. And it creates, and the other thing with fear, I mean, you're doing it every time you get into a situation like that, adrenaline does to help you overcome the fear. Well, the adrenaline, you get addicted to that. And so how do you feel adrenaline? You got to put yourself in these situations like talking about, and it becomes this cycle. And then just like we talked about at the beginning, that becomes home.